Well, we need a budget. Money problems are one of the leading causes of divorce. When Stephanie and Derek started planning a life together, they knew they needed to be on the same page about money. This meant a budget. In this 12 to 15 minute speech, Stephanie and Derek will describe the journey to a budget, how to make a budget, and what happened afterwards.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I've got up here before and talked about some pretty personal things throughout my Toastmasters journey. Today will be one of those days. But this one, frankly, is probably the subject that I'm most ashamed of. Debt. Why am I so ashamed of debt? Most of my Toastmaster members know, but for the guests here and those that don't know, I started my professional career as an accountant. Through years of promotion and just job progression, I moved on to become a senior budget analyst, budgeting for a billion-dollar company. Eventually, I moved into my current role as a senior data analyst. This means I have complete understanding of how to put financials together and how to create and manage a budget. So explain to me then why I found myself in thousands and thousands of dollars of debt. Almost $45,000 to be exact. Now, 30 of that was credit card, but $45,000 nonetheless. The short answer, I don't really know, to be honest with you. The longer answer is that I just let myself get out of control. I fell into the trap of that shiny new object syndrome. Ooh, that's so cool, I have to have it, right? I don't really have money for it, but I have to have it. Also, the old, oh, it's on sale. This is like a super sale, right? It's never going to be this price ever again in my entire life, so I have to have it. With the promise of, oh, I'll pay this credit card off next month. Obviously, that never came to fruition. The fact of the matter is, I was horrible at managing my own personal finances. I could do it for my career, but I'm horrible with managing my own. Before I knew it, I was drowning in $45,000 of debt. Plain and simple. Then in 2017, I meet my future husband, Derek. Now, having been a Toastmaster for many years at this time, I knew that communication was key to any relationship. Personal, professional, any relationship. Communication is key. And when it became obvious that our relationship was getting serious, we sat down and had some pretty tough conversations. Kids, religion, certain beliefs, and of course, the money conversation. Now, as you can imagine, I was terrified to tell Derek how in debt I was. And I was certain that he would want no part of that. Which, honestly, I mean, I wouldn't have blamed him, right? But to my surprise, Derek tells me he found himself in a very similar situation. Now, fortunately for me, Derek was on the other side of that debt, right? He had gone through working through his debt very successfully and gained some pretty good financial habits in the process, right? He was willing to help me on one condition. I had to follow a budget. Now, we were both keenly aware, as Kelly said in the introduction, money arguments are one of the leading causes of divorce. Actually, it's number 2 behind infidelity. And on top of that, I knew what I was doing was not working. So I'm like, hey, sure, I'll do a budget. So I was 100% on board with this idea. So how do we go about starting this? Well, I'll let Derek explain this part.
Starting a budget can be stressful. I know this from personal experience. Like Steph, I have a background in accounting. I've done accounting for other people and organizations. Yet, when putting together my own budget, I kept hitting this wall. This is when I encountered Dave Ramsey. He's known for his get out of debt crusade, which I embraced. He also explained budgeting not only in terms of the technical details, the math side, but the emotional and psychological sides as well. After listening to his radio show many afternoons, I realized it wasn't the technical details stopping me. I understood at the end of the month, the inflows had to be matched with the outflows, and the outflows had to be accounted for in the inflows. If I was going to make my own budget work, I needed to be in the proper mindset. As I've worked through my own budgeting process over the years, first on my own and then with Steph, I've found 4 major mindset points. First things first, all of the responsible parties must have a say in the budget and agree to abide by its terms, conditions, and goals. If one side wants to do the budget and the other side refuses to participate, all that will result is misery, frustration, heartbreak, and a worse financial position. Do you know a quick way to make the other party not want to participate in the budget process? Ignore their priorities. Don't let them have a say in where the money goes. Second point. Every budget is a work in process. You never get it fully right the first time. As you go through your financial journey, you will learn what changes need to be made based on your changing position as well as your changing goals. I have my very first budget worksheet from August of 2014, almost 9 years ago. It looks nothing like the budget worksheets that Steph and I do every month. Why? My position has changed and my goals have changed. The old budget no longer works for me. Third, follow the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't make your budget any more complicated than it needs to be to achieve your goals. Each change that you make should give your household a better understanding and better control of your money. Fourth, be flexible. During your month, you may get an unexpected expense, or you may get some additional income. Either way, your budget is going to have to be reviewed, changes made, parties are going to agree to it, and let the process continue. So, what is this process I've been talking about? I'm going to be a bit on the general side because every situation will be different. Yet, when I'm starting a budget, I always like to look at the monthly income and expenses for, well, at least the past few months. Why? Well, by looking at what we've done in the past, it's harder to lie to ourselves about our current situation. Yes, we really did spend all that money at McDonald's over the last 3 months. Okay, we have our information. So let's start planning the upcoming month. We start with our income. How much money is coming into the household? Then we need to decide where those dollars are going to go. We start with the basics. Food, utilities, housing. For clarification, all those McDonald's trips don't go in your food budget. Next should be required payments. I classify those as any payment where if I don't make it, I either get sued or thrown in jail. So these are things like taxes, credit card payments, car payments, other loans. The rest, you're going to talk with your budget partners and you're going to group similar expenses together. My recommendation is to start with larger groups, things like entertainment, home, savings. Then break them into smaller groups based on what you need to prioritize for your goals. Speaking of goals, now is the time we want to set them. Now some of you are going, wait, shouldn't you start with your goals at the beginning? What I've found is that until you know where you are, you can't figure out where you want to go, particularly in the immediate and short term. Particularly when you look at it and find out there's a deficit, or if you see how much of your household's money is going to McDonald's. Once we have that, then we can prioritize all those other expense groups. When Steph and I did our initial budget, we agreed that our immediate priorities were to, 1, get out of debt, 2, increase our emergency fund, and 3, save for our wedding. Those 3 goals informed how we prioritized what we did with our available dollars. So what happens when your inflows and outflows don't zero out at the end of the month? Well, if there's a surplus, you need to decide on where that extra money is going based on those goals that you've set. Is it adding to savings, paying off debt, throwing a little bit more in entertainment? If it's a deficit, that's when you're going to need to reprioritize and possibly cut your expenses or find additional sources of income or some combination thereof. The equation is simple. The solutions aren't. This is where it will be important to maintain your mindset and remember you are a team. You are doing this to make your lives better. Both sides need to be willing to compromise. Because when you do that, good things happen. I'll let Steph explain what we found when we did that.
So it took a couple years of using the Dave Ramsey snowball method to pay off my debt. And it was hard, I will admit. It took some getting used to. And it's funny, now when I mention to people that I'm on a strict budget, I get 1 of 2 responses. I either get the people that say, oh God, that's so good, I wish I could put myself on a budget. Or I get the people that say, you make good money. Why do you let somebody else tell you how to spend your money? And to that, I respond this way. Let me tell you what budgeting's done for me. I'm debt free. The feeling of being debt free and the peace of mind that comes with being debt free is exhilarating. It's priceless, no pun intended. Derek and I have chosen to operate on a cash-only basis. If we don't have the cash for it, we either go without or we save for it. For example, vacations. Do you know how freeing it is to go on vacation, know that when you already have the money saved up for it and you don't have to worry about how to pay for it afterwards? Again, priceless. My purchasing mindset has drastically changed. Drastically. I went from, I won't say I was a hoarder, but I was probably headed down that road. But now I actually think about I actually think about the practical purpose of a purchase before I buy it now. Do I really need it? Do I have some place to put it? What am I going to use it for? I make better, more informed decisions now. This mentality became even more abundantly clear when we moved. I cannot tell you how much crap I had stuffed in closets, drawers, cabinets, because I bought it because I just wanted it, not because I had a use for it. My house is so much more organized now, and Derek probably has something to do with that too, but I like to attribute it more to the budget thing because I'm not spending as much, I'm not buying as much, but Derek probably also had something to do with that. But I can actually find stuff 90% of the time now, right? Things have a place. Again, I don't have crap stuffed in cabinets and closets, and I don't have kitchen stuff crammed in my entertainment center because I have a place for it. Budgeting allows us also to save for an emergency fund. So when something comes up and it's unexpected, we don't stress about it as much. And I'll give you a good example. I'm sure everybody has run into the fact that our homeowner's insurance has gone up, taxes have gone up. We got hit with a $3,800 escrow bill this year. But we had it in savings. We had it in an emergency fund. Now, I mean, that was quite the hit. That still was a little gut to the chest, but it wasn't a matter of what credit cards am I going to put this on, because we had it in an emergency fund. And we did make one exception to the cash only rule. Derek and I bought a car last year. Now we traded, this was a thought out purchase. We went down from 2 cars to 1 car because we both work from home and we rarely ever need 2 cars at one time. So why are we paying for 2 cars? So we went down to 1 car. We traded both our cars in and bought a new car and financed the new car. But we thought it out. Not to mention with the market, the used car market, we made out pretty favorably. So because we had planned out, sat down, thought about it, planned it out, my brand new car that I've had less than a year will be paid off before it hits a year. So that's what budgeting has done for me. So yes, I'm okay with somebody telling me how to spend my money. I highly recommend everybody pursues a budget. And it may not look as complicated as Derek and I's budget. It may be as simple as the envelope method that many people use. Or you maybe use an app. Derek's brother uses an app called YNAB. You need a budget. But I highly recommend a budget for everybody. Find something that works for you. Budgets help with your peace of mind. Thank you.